welcome to our round robin debate of our Board of Education candidates here in Danbury, sponsored by NEA Danbury and Citywide PTO. My name is Kevin Haddad. I'll be serving as the moderator this evening. I'll be assisted by Lynn, who's helping me out with some timekeeping. I just want to remind you to please turn off your pagers, cell phones, all that, put them on silent or vibrate. And I'd like to introduce our candidates. We have Richard Ginelli, Kathleen Molinaro, Eileen Alberts, Joan Hodge, Michael Fazio, Ron Hollister, and Keith Gaylord, who will be participating with us this evening. So I thank them for joining us. I'll read you the ground rules that we've set up for this evening, which have changed a little bit. One candidate from each party was selected by lottery to answer the first question. Candidate speaking will have 2 minutes to answer. When they finish speaking, the other candidates may volunteer to address the issue for up to 1 minute each, although it is not mandatory. The moderator, myself, will alternate the party of the candidates who volunteer for the 1 minute responses. After the first question is completely finished, the same process will be repeated over again for the remaining questions. A final lottery will determine the order for the 2 minute closing statements. We've had to adjust that a little bit in the sense that we have more Republicans than Democrats here, so in an effort to give everyone equal time, we will have 2 Republicans responding for 2 minutes each to some of our questions. There will be a signal for candidates when they have 30 seconds remaining for their response. That's our signal. And we have 5 committee questions. Committee from NEA Danbury put together those questions that will help to guide the debate, and audience members received a card to write their questions on as they entered. So if you hold up your card, a member of NEA Danbury will get that from you, and if time permits, we will also have those questions as well. We are being taped for Comcast this evening, so you can tell your friends to watch this at a later date and relive the memories. Okay, I'm going to start off with Richard Ginelli, and he's going to get the first question. Thank you, Sam. It was on.
Excuse me, is it possible to look at the video so you can see all the candidates?
I can get that out of the way now that we've started. Okay, we'll work with one microphone so we get it sorted out. So, first question for you, Mr. Ginelli, is how do you see your role on the Board of Ed determining the direction of Danbury schools?
Let me first say that I appreciate being here tonight. And I do wonder why I work so hard for a non-paying job. I just hope my employer doesn't find out about this. I'm part of a team of 11 members on Board of Education who work to set policy. Essentially, we make decisions in the best interest of the children of the city of Danbury to provide the best education that we can. We try to develop, we try to implement and monitor these particular policies so that we ensure the educational welfare of the children. Every decision that we make is done with one concept in mind, and it's all about kids. The follow-up to that is that it's our duty to select a superintendent, which is our chief operating officer. That person is delegated to implement these policies. We evaluate that individual, we monitor him, we make sure that the policies that we set are being carried out. One of the important things to being a board member is that you should learn and you should be able to grow with the job. As I've been on this committee, on the board for 3 years, and it's a tremendous learning process. You have to be able to learn the experience and also to utilize it to grow so that you can continue doing a good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, you have 30 seconds after the
I'm all finished. Thank you.
Okay. You can pass the microphone to Kathleen. And you have 2 minutes, Kathleen. Same question. How do you see your role on the Board of Ed determining the direction of Danbury schools?
First of all, let me echo Richard's sentiments and thank you very much for inviting me tonight. And I appreciate everyone coming out tonight on this horrific weather that we're having. I see my role on the Board of Ed and determining direction, as Richard said, by setting policy and by making sure that our policies are followed. How do we do that? We do our homework. We come to meetings. We talk. We ask questions. We make sure that we get answers. And that's how I see our role. Thank you.
Any other candidates who would like to address?
This issue for 1 minute.
I would just like to add one comment, if I may.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It seems that, sorry. It is the board's main responsibility, major role, to craft and formulate policy. And it really has to be a very living document to be the official board policy. And our superintendent is charged with bringing the information and the input from board members that we need in order to understand what policies may not be clear in terms of the issues that face education today. And that's step number one, the formulation of policies. However, a major consideration must be the board members should absolutely expect and have the superintendent bring back written and oral reports to the board so that we know that the policies are being implemented and what the results are in the achievement gained.
Okay.
So, yep.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else want to comment on that question?
I like to piggyback on that.
Yeah, sure. You have 1 minute.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to piggyback on the other candidates. I believe that what they're saying is true, but not only do we are supposed to do policy, but I also believe that we're supposed to be there for the community to take and try and get information of what the community needs and what the community wants and try to fit that into our policy and changes as well. A lot of times you might get information from the community where people might want something done and don't understand why it's not done. I believe our job is also to take and do the research and let them know why things aren't being done or being committed, so that they have an understanding and just don't say that the Board of Education just threw out what they put in. So I believe my role will be to be in there, to try to work hard for the city, try to work hard for the community, try to help set policy, try to give input and give ideas. I'll be a newbie on the block, so I definitely want to get in here and learn. If it takes me to 4 years to learn, so be it, but I also want to be a voice for the city of Danbury.
Thank you.
Yeah, that one's dead.
Okay, there. Anyone else like to comment on that question? Sure.
How you doing? I'm also going to be a rookie on board for this coming election, and hope to become part of the valuable team as well as a piece of the puzzle. And I kind of look at what we do as just a piece of the process. I mean, you folks out there that are teaching are also part of it, as well as the superintendent, and together if we can collaborate and build effective communications, we can definitely instill a best-in-breed product for the kids in the city.
I just want to piggyback on a number of things that have been said already. First of all, I've been on the board for a very long time, and I often ask myself why I'm doing this again. I think it's most important for board members to remember, yes, we do set policy as a guide for the administration, but to be on the Board of Education, above all, you need to be an advocate for students and children. If you're not, then it's something that you really shouldn't be doing. I've been doing it for a very long time, and those of you who know me know I do everything I can to advocate for students.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. That brings us to our second question. What do you believe are the major factors confronting educators today? And Joan, this question goes to you for 2 minutes.
Thank you.
It's all set.
This is certainly a very, very important question. Public education today is facing really daunting challenges. And our task of preparing students.
Yeah, here you
Yeah, right up
Now-
close, right up close to your mouth.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was about to say that you couldn't hear me, I am sorry. That public education is facing daunting challenges in our task of preparing students for the century. Issues of equitable funding are always at the top of the list. However, I do want to add, in my long tenure in Danbury, first as a public school teacher and now as a board member, the good citizens of Danbury have always supported schools and good education. I think that this has been something that the citizens can be very proud of, because funding is a major problem now. We know that the climate of the economy and the expenses facing all the citizens. However, I think this too will be something that can be worked out in order to enable the youngsters to receive the education that the citizens of Danbury really always have wanted for their children. Along with funding, naturally the mandates of NCLB, am I finished now? 30 seconds. Oh my dear, serious health issues, school violence, these are the issues, the challenges that we face. And one of the main crises is a dropout crisis, not so prevalent here in our city, but throughout the nation. This is a major tragedy and a disgrace, the students that we've lost. And these are things that, since I'm running out of time, I wanted to elaborate on these issues, but that will have to be for another day.
If you could pass it to Eileen, she has 2 minutes to respond.
Kevin, I'm sorry, we can't hear in the back. You hold it very close to you.
How's this any better? Here you go. So the question is as to what the major factors confronting educators are today. It's my experience that things like student mobility upset entire classrooms. There's an accountability piece where our educators are not just accountable to the children and their parents, they now have to report to a district on a different level. This makes it very hard. The economic downturn across the country, and it's global, has wreaked havoc everywhere, including the school systems. It's right here in Danbury. And that, coupled with unfunded mandates like No Child Left Behind, is pitting everybody to do as much as they can for the least amount they can. And they're educators, they get paid to do this. And our kids are there wanting to learn and demanding to learn. And meanwhile, teachers are trying to garner our support and as well as parental support to help them accomplish the job that we ask them to do. And that's just about sums it up. And by the way, thank you very much. Can you still hear me back there? Okay.
would like to make a 1-minute comment.
Thank you. Another factor that creates a particular problem is throughout the country, we have a large population of people who cannot speak English coming into our schools. This, with the economic downturn and the particular unfunded mandates relative to NCLB, puts a tremendous strain on educating these children. We need the resources in order to do this. Not only do we have to educate the children, but we have to educate the parents from these countries to make sure they understand what the American educational system means, so they can go out and advocate for their children. We also need parental involvement. I believe very strongly that it takes a village to raise a child. We need a community that's built on solid foundations with business, with parental involvement with the educators, to tie into the curriculum of the educational system. A lot of this is being fragmented, and until it's all solidified, we still have problems. Thank you very much.
I guess my answer to this question will be money. I know that's no surprise to anyone that that would be a major factor confronting all school districts today, but also information and communication. Information we need to give to you on the decisions that we have made. Communication from you coming back to us that the decisions we've made are working, or some of the decisions need more work, or some need to be put aside. Our English language learners are definitely hindering, but I think we're making great strides in that department. Thank you.
Can you hear me now? What I'd like to just add to this is that, again, going back to the whole team concept and working along with you folks, going back to the superintendent and back to the members of the board team, I would hope that we can together harvest new ideas and some non-traditional resources that will produce new methods for educational opportunities that will both assist the teacher and the student. And I think that's about what sums it up for me.
Just to piggyback on everything again, they're great answers, great quotes. Just to get a little more in depth, parental involvement. We need the community to be with us as well as us be with the community. If you're not involved with your child, you'll never know what's going on. So you need to take and make sure that you have your child, you understand what's going on, you question the teachers, you question the administrators, and you try to find out and make sure that everything that's being done that should be done is being done. That's a big factor here in Danbury. I notice parental involvement. There's a lot of parents that think that teachers are babysitters. They think that they can drop their child off and that's it. He gets good grades, he gets good grades. She doesn't. That's not the way I think we should do things. I think we need to take and hold the parents accountable, make sure that they come to meetings, make sure they know what's going on, make sure that we assimilate information to them, and make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Anyone else like to comment? 1 minute.
I'll finish my comments about the major challenges. I think that the parents would.
I didn't do it.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I apologize. This was her question. You've already had 2 minutes on this question. So,
I'm sorry.
that's all right. This is why I have help. Anyone else who's not spoken to this question for 1 minute? Okay, then we'll move on to question number 3. This is going to be for Mike Fazio. What should we do as a community to support Danbury Public Schools? And you'll have 2 minutes.
I don't know that it will take 2 minutes, but I'll certainly try. No, actually, community involvement is probably the most important thing that we, as members of the Board of Education, have tried to improve upon over the years that I've been on the board. Fortunately, I don't think it is where it needs to be. I think the board can do a better job of communicating out from our level to the community as to what is actually going on in the system. Back in the day when I first started on the board, we won't get into how long ago that was, but back in that day, it was much more difficult to communicate out to the community with the advances in technology and the cooperation of our local cable service. We can reach out to the community in a wide variety of ways, and I think we need to do a better job of that. If you want the community to be involved in your system, and it's more than just words, you need to back that with some sort of actions. And I think that we as a board need to do a better job of that, of reaching out to the community, let them know what's going on in the school system. Invariably, the only thing that reaches the print media is usually on a negative tone, something that may have gone wrong on a daily basis, an occurrence that may have occurred. Very recently this has occurred in our local newspaper. So I think we need to do a better job on that. Let's get by the bell.
Thank you. And Ron, you will have 2 minutes for this question as well.
Oh, excellent. As far as the community involvement, I keep on seeming to go back and to the original point that I made about being part of the team and tapping into some pretty exciting resources that are all around us, and that if we all work together, teachers, the parents get the board and get the whole system to collaborate and build a better product, or even build on the existing product. There are some fascinating and very exciting ideas and abilities out there that we can turn on that will make this whole system a pretty great place to work, and also to be an educational tool.
Thank you. Anyone for 1 minute response?
Thank you. Principally, the most important terminology that I think here is get involved. Parents have to get involved. They have to adopt the school. They have to take pride in the schools that their children go to. They have to be informed. They should take part in PTOs, PTAs. They should attend parent-teachers conferences so they can align the curriculums that's going on and know what's going on. It's very important that there's an involvement between the educational community and the parents. In addition to that, the business community has a stake in the educational process here, because our students are their future employees. And what they should do is to be able to offer us in-kind services, offer us facilities, internships, in addition to, of course, monetary consideration. So again, it's part of my saying, as I said before, it takes a village to raise a child. All of these elements help make a better community and support the Danbury school system. The parents also should offer a conducive learning facility for the students to spend quality time with their child. A healthy child is a better student. Thank you.
Anyone else for 1 minute on this question? Okay.
What I'd like to add to everyone else's conversation, and I think we all are on the same page, the community has to be involved, and Danbury is very fortunate in the sense that we can be involved. The school system itself provides a website for parents to be able to access. If they can't access the internet, teachers are available. There are administration buildings that are always available by phone. It's so important that everyone be involved. We no longer can afford to send our children to school at 5 and pick them up at 18. We need everyone's help, from City Hall to your living room. This is being filmed tonight. It's a horror for me, but for other people, it's a wonderful thing. Our meetings are filmed. people can come into our meetings. The same way you can walk into City Hall and walk into the mayor's office, you can walk into a Board of Education meeting and listen and partake of the knowledge. We're all accessible. We're elected officials. We are always accessible to all of you. It's just very important that we try to change the way we do business with all of you, that you become involved with your children's education. Not just your child, but the children next to them. It's not English language learners that are training. It's the lack of communication we have with families. And it's a cultural problem. So we need people from all cultures to participate so we all can become enlightened in what we need to do. Thank you.
Anyone else for 1 minute on this question? Then we will move on. This,
Sorry, may I have 1 minute, please?
yes.
The question, I would like to really just reverse it and say, what could we, as board members, do to support the community? I think it would be vital for the board and the administration to ensure that schools have a welcoming climate where parents are really welcomed to take part and to be real partners. Just briefly, there was a wonderful celebration at the no longer Roberts Avenue School before it went to Ellsworth Avenue. It was just an incredible evening. The people who came back, because it was a true community school. The parents owned the school and they felt comfortable and they were true partners with the teachers and the administrators. It was a beautiful thing, and we need more of this. We need schools that are open at night for people to come and to be educated or to just be involved with their children. We also have a great responsibility in terms of helping our schools become true community centers for our parents.
Thank you. Anyone else on this question? Yes.
I'm one of the rookies here, but what I've been told is that we are charged with setting policy and not management. Having said that, I firmly believe that as a...
Sorry, this was your question.
See you later.
I apologize. That was one of Ron's initial questions. Anyone who has not spoken on this question? So we'll move on to question 4. This will be for Keith Gaylord. How would you keep yourself informed about what is going on in the Danbury school system on a day-to-day basis?
Thank you. As a Board of Ed member, I realize that we're management. We're the ones that set policy and procedures. The way I personally would keep, and I believe the board is already keeping, is to get the reports. Our job is not to take in, micromanage the teachers and the superintendents. Our job is to help them out if they need it, make decisions and policies. But as long as they're giving us reports and we know what's going on, we can make changes, we can make decisions on things that we think are working and aren't working. We can give suggestions, but we need to take in and get those reports, and we need to read them, the subcommittee reports, the superintendent reports, teacher reports. My theory is once you inform, you're able to take and do and meet a challenge. So that's my wording on that, to take and try and how I would take and keep up on the day-to-day. I don't think that we're supposed to take and manage day-to-day. Like I said, we're not micromanagers. Why should we take and sit there if we have a good superintendent, if we have great teachers, we have a great principal? Why should we second guess what they do? As long as we're reading the reports and we know what's going on, I think we'll be okay.
And you can pass that to Fraser Terman. You also have 2 minutes for this question.
How would I keep informed? I would just piggyback over what Keith said. Just make myself available, read the reports. I was also thinking of, I don't know about this, I'm first time here on the board or running for the board, but also make a school visit. talk to, visit the different schools and see what's going on, what kind of programs they have available. More or less, assist the principals, the superintendent, be there for them, and with collaboration with the board, just be ready to be assistants.
Anyone who would like 1 minute on this question?
Thank you. In addition to the regular reporting that we receive as a board member, it's also very important to get out there in the community. You've got to get out, you've got to meet, you've got to attend the PTO functions, the citywide PTOs. You've got to get involved with the various school activities. Yes, you also have to visit specific schools. I've been invited to participate in various class programs. I've been invited to speak at different schools. It's an involvement that you have to get in addition to the board reports and the committee information, as well as reading what's in the papers and what's going on globally in the rest of the company and the rest of the country in terms of education. I also get out there and talk. You have to talk to the parents, the teachers, the students, and the mayor. God, the mayor's tired of listening to me about how much money we need. But it's getting out basically in the street, so to say, so you know what's going on out there in addition to reading the reports. Thank you.
In addition to communicating, as Richard elaborated on, it's also about listening. Listening to what's going on, going to the PTO meetings, going to the citywide PTO, listening to concerns, bringing those concerns back to the board, talking about them, revising policy, a living, breathing document as we go on and changes are made. But mostly it's communication and listening.
Anyone else for?
Okay, I think if we do have any audience questions, would whoever our representative is out there, if they would bring them forward. For our next question, we will limit this to, I believe, 2 minutes per candidate. And we will, I imagine we'll just start down here with Richard and move our way around. This is question number 5. This past year, approximately 20 teaching positions were eliminated. How do you want to be informed about the impact of these financial decisions on the children of Danbury? You have up to 2 minutes, and you may pass if you are not interested in answering this question.
I'm an advocate of chain of commands. I think as a board member, we're privy to and abreast of what's happening in the school district. Not to say that if there are particular problems, people shouldn't come to us with information as to what's going on or what particular is happening. But there is a chain of command. We have teachers, we have principals, we have deputy superintendents and superintendents, and it has to go through a specific chain of command. Also, information coming back to us about specific problems should be brought to us with data. We should, as board members, should request and ask for data so that we can evaluate and determine the validity of the particular problems that's occurring. I think the use of data is very critical. And it's very important that everyone understand that the board people are available to all of them. However, when people come to me specifically, or my other colleagues, essentially we would refer to them to the superintendent and ask him to follow up with this. It's not our role to do his job, but it is our role to be informed and understand the results of what's happening. Thank you.
I want everyone to know that those decisions had to be made. and it was made with a heavy heart from all of us, because none of us want teaching positions, face-to-face teaching time to children and to our students eliminated. It was a necessary evil that we had to do. How do I want to be informed? At our board meetings twice per month, the NEA has a chance to speak to us. And I think that every single board meeting, there should be a narrative from your NEA representative. And it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I have to, I'm sorry, I have to agree with both Kathy and Richard. It was with a heavy heart that these decisions were made, but they had to be made. It was a financial decision. It hurts, because we're in the business of educating children. That is our business. Our bottom line is a human brain, and it needs the nourishment of the teacher, the face time of the teacher. But along with that, we also have a very astute council of men and women who administer the district. And they've just instituted a whole new data collection system. I don't know what the technical term is, I'm sorry. But they're on top of it. We're on top of it. We have these meetings, we have subcommittee meetings. When we were talking before about interacting in the schools, a lot of us go into the schools on a regular basis already, and we see what's going on. We also talk to everyone, and we talk to parents as well as we talk to teachers. There is a chain of command, but we're also approachable. We're not people that sit in a room and make judgment without going out and actually seeing what's happening and listening to the people that we trust to administer. We have a new district enhancement plan that we're working on. It's an amazing thing, and hopefully I'll get to speak to it a little bit later in this conversation to explain how wonderful it is and how it's changing the face or the way we do business. And with that, I'm going to pass this to Joan. Just know that we're all there watching to make sure that the kids are being taken care of.
It's always distressing to lose teaching positions, and I'm certain that parents are very concerned about the class size, particularly on the elementary level and also the middle high school, but especially on the primary grades. However, although we know that it is an important issue, a manageable class size, the optimum, like a class of 19 or 20, this is perfect. However, there is another area that has to be seen. Many, many times, although the class size is optimum, we do know that it does not necessarily bring the hoped for achievement if there is not a highly qualified, strong teacher in that optimum sized classroom. So this is something that I think that the board will be watching in terms of results. And so parents should keep this in mind. Perhaps if we won't really know what adjustments will have to be made until the final enrollment figures are presented to the board, our next board meeting. The final tally is always done October 1st. However, this is a two-pronged necessity for good elementary education. You must have well-trained, qualified, strong teachers, as well as a good class size.
This past year was a very difficult budget year. We went through probably the worst economic downturn, at least that I can remember. And it was distressing for all of us to have to make cuts to the budget. This is the first time that I can remember in my long tenure on the board that we actually cut a budget. We've reduced budget requests that have come in, but never actually physically reduced the size of the existing operating staff. This was the first time in recent memory that that occurred. You know, we're all being asked to do more with less across the whole country. It's a very, very, very stressful time for everyone. But getting back to the original question, which was how do we want to be informed, I think it's incumbent upon our administration to stay on top of it, and they do. We have a very, very, very good administration in Danbury, and provide us with the information on a very regular basis as to how we're making progress or lack thereof going forward based on the new structures that we've put in place in terms of management and any of the cuts that have been put in place in terms of staffing. So, you know, we have to trust our administrators, our principals, and our faculty to provide that information to us. And that's how we would be informed and expect to be informed.
Thank you. The question of how do you want to be informed, how do we want to be informed? I think I just muted it. You guys can hear me? Okay, sorry about that. I'm also a big believer in a chain of command. I come from the public safety side of the house and have worked under that for many, many years. And we as board members or possible board members in the fall have to really rely on the system to work, and at the same time, be part of that system, to help manage the process. And but I would also add that me personally, I want to be and to continue to be a great student as well as a great listener, and make sure that I do whatever I can to keep all the lines of communication open so that we are able to do our part of the responsibility for the system.
This question, to me, goes back with the previous question as well, as trying to be informed. Coming from a law enforcement background, you have your chain of command, and as long as your officers are doing well, your warden and your captains are happy. I believe it's the same type of thing. The Board of Education is the top line. I think that I'd like to be informed through data, through research. No one wants to lose a job. And I know that it's hard to understand when it happens. But as the new kid on the block, I like to be informed. And not only be informed, I like to know that everything was done to not have that happen. And when it does happen, before it happens, if you get the information and you can't do anything about it, it's definitely because it's a necessary evil. There's a lot of programs that cost a lot of money for our children. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Sometimes things have to be done. Like I said, no one likes to lose their job, but in my opinion, if we did everything we could and did to save a program, to save educational value to a child, to help them progress and become a civil servant, to become a civilian, to become a community leader, then we had to do what we had to do. But main thing is to get the information, to get the data, to do the research, and try the best we can to try to make it not happen.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you so much. We have many questions from our audience for you, and we definitely won't be able to get to all of them. However, we will be posting the questions on our neadanbury.org website, so audience and board members can see the questions that were given to you, that the ones that you were not able to answer. I think what I'll do is I'll start with Mike this time. And I'll give you 1 minute to answer this question, and then I'll open it up to anyone else who would like to add for an additional minute. And then I'll move over to Joan, and we'll see how many we can get to in the time that we have. So, Mike, you're on the hot seat here. What strategy do you plan to implement to get the district to fund full-day kindergarten for everyone?
First of all, First of all, we don't implement the strategies. We've been advocating for full-day kindergarten. When the need is there, the only thing we can continue to do is continue to work closely with the city side to get the funding that we will need going forward. I fully expect to be there when the economy begins to turn. I don't see it happening this year. I don't see it happening maybe within the next 16 to 18 months. We're kind of, victims of the economy right now. And until that happens, I don't think we're going to be able to go where we want to go. But I think we just have to be continuing to communicate that need to the city government, and I'm sure we'll get there.
Great, thank you so much. Anyone else like to address how you plan on? Yes. I just wanted to remind her of the question of policy on how you plan on trying to get us to have full-day kindergarten here in Danbury.
First of all, that was a very important part of the board's 5-year plan, which is now a 50-year plan, I think, with the downturn in the economy. But just to let you know that that was a front burner, that was a project that was foremost in our minds, and due to lack of funds, it just has to be put aside right now. But it certainly will always be brought back as soon as Mike said, the economy hopefully comes back. So thank you.
Anyone else on this question? Okay. Joan, that's going to bring us to you. And you have 1 minute. The question from the audience, they would like to know what your knowledge of special education is.
Oh, good question for you.
Well, I was a special education resource teacher for some years. I began in education as a regular class teacher, and I felt that it gave me the background that I needed to branch into other areas, which I found to be extremely challenging, extremely worthwhile, and talk about saying that all children learn, all children can learn. And what they need a teacher who can help the child understand. The teacher may believe that the child can learn, but the child must also acquire the understanding that he or she is able to learn, capable of learning. Special education requires specialized instruction that's broken down into tiny increments, which builds on success. And I could go on and on and on all night about special education and curriculum for special ed children, but my time is up.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to share their knowledge of special education in 1 minute, or less than 1 minute?
Okay, that's going to be kind of hard for me to do, for anyone that knows me. I started this whole odyssey in education started in special education in the Danbury school system. I was a mature adult who had a child who had special needs, and we started in the early intervention program in the Danbury Public Schools. That was where I learned that it wasn't just dropping your child off to school, that you had to participate, and there was a whole language that went along with that. And whether it was speech therapy or it was physical therapy or occupational therapy, everyone had their own jargon. So it just started, you started learning, you found out what we were made of. We have a fabulous system in Danbury, and if it wasn't for special education and the people that worked with me to teach me what I needed to know to help my child, I wouldn't be here today.
Great, thank you. Anyone else on special education?
I know virtually nothing about special education, but I just wanted to bring up a point that is not a professional, as an educator. But we are in a process currently, that is we, the district and the Board of Ed, of adopting a plan. It's called TDEC, the Danbury National Collaborative. One of the features of that particular plan indicates that teachers will teach by any means necessary to teach a child. Picking up to Joan's point, any child can learn. It's the matter of teaching the individual. So we're not looking for a conventional way, any method that's necessary to be able to teach a particular student to learn the curriculum is the philosophy, one of the philosophies in this particular document. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, since we are closing in on time here, I think we'll go to our closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. Initially, we had allocated a lottery system for our closing. If I don't know how the candidates are feeling, I could start down here on the end with Frazier and work our way around. Does that sound okay to you guys? Okay, then we will do that. So each candidate will have 2 minutes for their closing statements.
First of all, I apologize for being late. Just got off work and I rushed over. My name is Frazier and I'm a lead family worker and I work in the mental health field. So education works hand in hand with mental health. So that's why I was eager to learn more about education and be a candidate on the board. I would just like to say that this is going to be a learning process for me to work on a board and learn more about the education and the children in Danbury. I grew up in Danbury through the school system, so therefore it's a way of me giving back and learning also. I'm just enthused about learning and giving back through education. As the old slogan say, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I'm sorry. Thank you.
As my closing remark, I want to thank you all for allowing me to come out and speak to you tonight. I also want to take and say I'm thankful for being a candidate for the Board of Education. Anybody that knows me in Danbury knows that I'm an advocate for children. I mentor, I coach, I'm the commissioner for T-ball, and my main focus is to always have the child first. To run for the Board of Education to learn. I'm not here to be a rabble-rouser, but I'm here for the community, and I want to be appointed by the community to shake and try and have a change. Now, the programs that you come into the Board of Education on the board, there's no way that you're going to make change right away. But at least I can take and try to help implement, or at least be a conscience to the rest of the board members on different things that the community comes out and wants to have done. All the board members, as well as myself, will be accessible to the community. I implore the community to come out and be a part of the Board of Education. We can't do anything without you. That's my opinion. I believe that if you are in with your child and you want your child to take and do good, you have to take and help your child. You have to help us help you help your child. The Board of Education might be there as a policy maker, but policy comes from what is needed by these children. And that's why I'm on this board. Thank you.
Thank you as well for having me out tonight, and I'm actually very excited about the opportunity to serve on the Board of Ed. And although I feel like a rookie here at the table with all these folks, I can promise that during the process when we are in the problem-solving stage and developing policies that I'll do my part and leave no stone unturned, to better help this community out. And I'm just very excited about the possibilities. Even though we have an economic crisis on our hands right now, I still believe that there are many solutions out there and talents to be tapped into that can help all of us, from the teachers to the superintendent to the board, build this whole city into a best-in-class product. Thank you.
Just to close, from my perspective, I've been on the board for, as I said, a number of years, and I've seen the changes that have occurred over that period of time. We've made tremendous progress as a school system. We continue to make progress in light of the economic downturn. I think that for those of us up here that are running for the school board, it's important for people to know that this is a strictly volunteer position. I have been volunteering in the system myself as a coach for a number of years and on the school board for a number of years. The thing I would encourage everyone to do, in addition to those of us who are running for office, is get involved. If you want to make a difference, get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank NEA Danbury for sponsoring this round robin. I think it's been very helpful. And I thank all of you who in the audience who have attended. We appreciate your being here. And I would like to add that although we are separated here, Democrats, Republicans, the main consideration for anyone serving on the Board of Education is the minute they enter the boardroom, all political ambitions, whatever, should be dropped at the door. And we should absolutely be working as people committed to furthering the education for our students. I think those of you who know me understand that I am passionately committed to public education, and it is a privilege to continue to do things that further the cause of public education and the cause of education for all children in this country. I always will continue to vote independently and with only one test in mind, which I try very hard and never will swerve from that. Is that vote of mine going to be in the best interest of the students, regardless of anything else that may be floating around? That has to be the #1 criteria. Is it in the best interest of all the students? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. There's a whole lot of people here tonight. This is the best attended I've seen of these round robins. Thank you to the NEA for hosting it. And the format is not as terrifying as I thought it was going to be. In closing, aside from saying thank you, I also have been on the board a long time. In fact, I actually thought about not running again this term because it would make it my 3rd term. I've done this for 8 years. And along with Richard and listening to Richard tell me how people shouldn't stay too long at the party, I decided maybe I was getting stale. After the first 4 years was spent just learning how it worked, the second 4 years came along, and along came NCLB and all of these mandates and everyone checking everybody and failing and passing. I mean, I knew it was a good district, I knew it was a great school system, but now people were using negative terms to address it. Then along came something after we were looked at by Cambridge, and a whole bunch of people came to tell us what we did well and what we didn't do so hot. A TDEC, you heard it referred to a couple of times on this panel. The word in TDEC that makes it TDEC is enhancement. It's an enhancement collaborative to improve our system. I got to work on it. I got to sit in these meetings with these brilliant young minds, educators and administrators alike, making a new plan to make it better for our kids. It's very exciting. There's a big change happening, and I would like to stay and be part of it. That's why I'm running again, because now there's a whole bunch more stuff to learn and more kids to affect. Thank you.
I also want to extend my thank you to all of you, and I appreciate being able to run again for the Board of Ed. I too want you to know that I'm very passionate about making sure that the children are safe in our schools, that they are ready to learn, but also that I serve the teachers, who I have very high respect for. They have a tremendous job taking care of our children and teaching them and I want to say thank you very, very much from all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask your support to allow me to continue to stay on the Board of Ed. I'm relatively new, only been here for two or 3 years, and my colleagues have a lot more tenure. But during that period of time, I've learned a lot. I've got a lot more to learn. I'm an advocate for the improvement in education, the quality of education in the city of Danbury. During this particular period of time on the board, I've joined boards for other organizations, these are nonprofits, Danbury Children First, Families Network, Western Connecticut, DSABC, and the Education Connections, probably a couple more in there. All of these have educational connections. I did this so I could completely understand the ramification of being on the Board of Ed and being what an educator is supposed to do. I'm also a chief financial officer of a corporation. I think my financial background assists the administration in making some of the financial and helping out with some of the particular financial needs and budget processes that they have. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much to all our candidates. I really want to thank, on behalf of NEA Danbury and the citywide PTO, I want to thank our audience for coming this evening. I want to thank all of our candidates for being able to just make it here tonight. I know it was difficult for some of them. It was somewhat short notice as we put this together. All of our candidates will be invited to submit statements that will be posted on our website, which is neadanbury.org. So if you check that out, and we also plan to post the questions from the audience so candidates can see those as well. So once again, I'd like to thank you all again, and let's have a round of applause for our candidates. Thank you.
So you're